my conversation starter.
I'm really glad because I will say
I have a sexy one too. If you want the
do?
sexy one, yeah.
Who am I going to use a sexy one with?
I do. It's great with girlfriends.
Oh, okay.
Like it's like you can do it with couples, but also if you just want to like have a like raucous night out where you guys are like talking about dicks and like having a good time, it's good for that too. I designed it for like I pictured bachelorette parties when I designed it. Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you brought those because when we were doing our prep doc and like preparing for this, I was like, oh, I really hope she brings me one of her decks because I'm like, speaking of decks. But I'm so glad you did because anything conversation starter like that you can just end cards at the same time. I'm such a fan of playing cards, and if you can pull out a card around a group of girlfriends or just dinner parties or wherever and just start a conversation, it's the best.
Totally agree. I also just feel like everybody is bored of having like the surface level conversations, but people don't know how to like move to the next level and be like, I didn't ask it was the card. Because
it kind of starts, all conversations usually start with like surface level and then eventually you get somewhere, so you might as well just pull a card and get there right away.
100%.
Don't waste your time with
because everybody's waiting for it.
Shallow bullshit. Yeah. Well, cheers. Thank you for coming here. You're in LA.
I'm all over.
You're all over.
Yes.
But you live in LA?
No, I've been living nomadically for 3 years.
Oh, so you mean it when you say you're all over the place?
Yeah, I'm not mentally, but physically.
Right. Not mentally, but physically. Oh my! And you're married.
I am married.
And he travels with you?
Yeah, no, I left him home.
I was like, well,
No, I'm married, and we basically were living in New York at the beginning of COVID, and it was awful, and we're in a 500 square foot apartment, and we were like, oh, let's go to Colorado for a month and just decompress and see how it is, and then we loved it, and we've been doing it ever since.
Man, I could do that. If I didn't have dogs, which...
A lot of people do with dogs. We do with our cat.
You do?
Yeah.
How do you travel?
We travel in our car.
You do?
But then we rent Airbnbs in the places that we're staying, and that's kind of like our rent money for the month. And we were in New York paying New York rent, so, it's comparable.
It's crazy. I like that idea. I might... No, okay. I always get ideas.
Never be the one to say no to yourself.
Wait, say that again.
Never be the one to say no to yourself.
Well, I'm just so excited to learn more. Like that, even that one little one-liner, that's
like my life motto.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that because but sometimes I say yes to myself too much. Is that a problem too?
Okay, what's an example?
Like all of a sudden I want to be a nomad and be like, yes. And then I'll stress myself out because I don't know.
So I think if you're stressing yourself out, that's not ideal. But I also think that we don't give ourselves enough permission to just like try things and see if we like it. We think everything is a permanent decision. And sometimes we'll spend like 2 years being like, should I move to this town? Should I not? And if we just moved to the town and tried it out, we could have known by now whether we liked it or hated it.
Yeah. All through my 20s, I was always scared I didn't even want to buy a couch because I was like, that means I'm tied somewhere. Like that means I'm tied down to that. And I would just like
couches though are really expensive.
They're so expensive. You know what I had them? I lived in a 400 square foot apartment in Vancouver, and I didn't even have room for a couch, so I had a chair like this, but it was green, so I put a black sheet over top of it so that it looked black.
I mean, honestly, I feel like it's a great hack. Couches are I'm just like, what are you putting in these things?
This couch out here in my living room was so overpriced. I got it and I sat on it and I was like, I hate it. It's not even comfortable. And I'm like, what? This is stupid. Couches are like an investment.
Okay, so couches are a decision worth stressing over, but every other decision in life, take a little bit lighter.
Okay, fine. I've been talking to my friends and even my producer and everyone and my therapist especially about leveling up in my life. Like I'm sick of the low vibrations. I'm sick of like certain people, certain things, but I want to like level up my life and get on the high vibration, surround myself with people that inspire me, be like absolutely doing what I love to do. And I've been so stuck. So I'm excited to talk to you because I feel like you obviously are a little ball of knowledge about wellness and, you have is it mantras or mantras? I do this every time. Mantra.
But you know what? You can say anything any way you want. Be like, I'm Canadian.
I do that all the time. That is my excuse.
It's pasta. I don't know.
It's pasta. I do that for everything. I'll be like, I don't know. I'm Canadian. Like, that's just my excuse for
all
everything.
The Canadians are like, we won't tell.
Yeah.
We love
or
you.
They're like, don't make us look
Kaitlyn.
stupid. They're like, stop making us look dumb. Okay, so before we get into all that, I wanted to start with kind of how you got into this space because it started off tough. Am I right?
Yes, it did. It started off tough. So I've been a journalist since I was 16. I pitched a newspaper column when I was a teenager. I like walked into my local newspaper office and was like, you should have a column for teenagers and it should be written by me. That's never be the one to say no to yourself in action, which we can talk more about later. Then when I was in my late 20s, I moved to London with my husband. He was in graduate school at the time. I was in New York before that. I had a really strong community. I had a great job, all of that. I moved to London and I was like, I'm going to thrive. I'm going to be amazing. I loved traveling. I traveled by myself in South America for like a year. I traveled all over Europe. I worked in a coffee shop in Amsterdam. Like I loved all of those types of things. So I thought I was going to thrive and I didn't.
And I, spoiler alert, did not.
Spoiler alert, I did not. My anxiety just got like worse and worse and worse. And I'd had this PTSD incident when I was traveling in South America by myself where I had a seizure by myself on the beach in Brazil after I smoked some weed of questionable origin. And at the time I like was in my party girl phase and I was just like, I'm sure I'm like vitamin deficient. I was having all these panic attacks and I had my mom like send me multivitamins and I was like, I'm sure I'm vitamin deficient. That's why I'm having these panic attacks and blah, blah, blah. I didn't like put two and two together until I was by myself in London. My husband was going to school for really long hours and my anxiety just like got worse and worse and worse. And I started having panic attacks like here and there and then all of a sudden everywhere. I remember one time I was like doing my makeup. We were going to go to a rugby game and to watch it at a pub. And I could not get myself to leave the house because I was so scared that I was going to have a panic attack at the pub at the rugby game. And it just, my world got like smaller and smaller and smaller from there. And then I couldn't leave my house and then I couldn't leave my bed. And then for months, I was just like laying there in bed by myself. I was watching Netflix. I was like on the internet and I really had convinced myself like this could be a good life. I can watch movies. I can talk to my friends. I can email people, whatever, which makes me so, so, so sad to think about now because I'm like, I call myself an experientially ambitious person. I want to live like the biggest life possible. I want to feel the highs. I want to feel the lows. I want to have adventures. I want to make mistakes. And the fact that I was like, no, bed is fine. Like bed is comfy, cozy. I will be okay here. Just like breaks my heart. It makes me so, so sad.
It's so interesting because you say that. I'm like, bed does sound good. But I will say I go through phases like that where I've got like hormonal depression where when it's like 5 days before my period, I do stay in the bed. And I'm okay with that because I'm like, my body needs this. But I have to really work to not get stuck in that mentality because it is so easy. It is so comfortable, but mentally it just messes you right up because you're not living. You're not doing the things that like actually give you serotonin and like release endorphins and having conversations with people you might not have before and like getting fresh air. Just so many little things that you don't realize. But there's so many times that I'm like, I want to be like, have you ever seen Bad Moms where she's like, I just want to be in a tiny little car accident where I just like have to be in the hospital. I'm not really injured, but people just like come and bring me food and take care of me and make sure I'm okay. And I just sleep in the bed. I'm like, sometimes I get that. And then that's when I know I'm in like a depressed zone is when I want to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I think we trick ourselves also into thinking that like going out and connecting with real people won't feel as satisfying as it actually does because of that hurdle, because of how hard it is. And the truth is it is really satisfying. And the truth is that laying in bed and scrolling on social media like never really soul satisfies you in the way that you want it to either. Yeah. So I was laid in bed. I was on my computer and I started, because I'd been a journalist for so long, I was like, I might as well put these skills to use. So I started emailing all of these people and being like, what causes anxiety? Where in your brain does anxiety come from? What foods can you eat to help with anxiety? What practices? Like, what does the research show about anxiety? And I emailed all these people who, like, I had no right to. I emailed, like, the head of neuroscience at Stanford, and I was just like, hey, Liz Moody here. Yeah. Never be the one to say no to yourself.
I love that. I'm literally going to get that tattooed on myself.
But some of the people did write back to me. A lot of them didn't. Really? But some wrote back, and they were like, oh, well, you could try this, or here's what this research shows. So I started to cobble together this little bit of a routine for myself. And to your point about those moments when we feel really awful when we're in bed, I do think, or when we're just like having a hard time getting over a hump in life. I just did a whole podcast episode about how to get out of a slump. Ooh. And a huge theme of that is to like make it tiny, make every single thing you do the tiniest thing. So for me, I wasn't like, here's my week-long plan and here's what I'm going to do every single moment of every single day. It was like, I'm going to go downstairs and I'm going to make a green smoothie. And it was that one thing. And it was like, I didn't get my own groceries. My husband got my groceries. He like brought them in the house. Everything was ready. I made my green smoothie. I drank it. I went back to bed. And it's just these, I have this other motto, which this one is not original. Isaac Newton came up with it first. But it is objects in motion stay in motion and objects at rest stay at rest. And the idea is that momentum or inertia is responsible for a lot of where we end up in life, but we give credit to our actions for those things. So like when you're in bed, inertia is keeping you in bed. It's not your fault as much as it's the fault of inertia. But when you're on a roll, momentum is keeping you on a roll. It's not your actions as much as it is the momentum. So all we need to do is do the tiniest thing to stop the inertia and to put us into a state of momentum. So I say when you're like laying in bed, when you're feeling stuck, when you're in a slump, do the teeny tiniest thing that can get you out. Like literally go make a cup of tea, go send one email, go text one friend, and that can start to get the ball rolling.
It really is. I mean, I know because I've done this so many times where I'm just like, just go do, and it's so hard because doing that one little thing will just be like, okay, I could do it. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, but we all think it has to be some big movement or some like go burn 500 calories at a workout class, and
we tell ourselves it doesn't count. And like I think that if I could say one thing to everybody, it's like it does count. Like it counts. Like the littlest things count because our life is made of the culmination of these little things.
So you kind of developed all these tools from doing research and just doing them yourself, like
so my anxiety tools I did, and that was like where I started on my wellness journalism. But then I came back to New York City and I worked in the editorial world there for years, and then now I host my own podcast where I get to interview I'm like, let's talk about climate change, and I'm like, who's the world's best expert on climate change, and I get to like call them up and talk to them, and it's like amazing. So I've gotten to do that with the world's leading happiness experts, gut health experts, longevity experts.
What's your podcast called?
It's called the Liz Moody Podcast.
Perfect. Easy. People can find it obviously anywhere they find podcasts.
Anywhere they find podcasts, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So there's really something for everybody if they go look.
Yeah, well, so this is a huge life philosophy of mine as well, which is that if we just tackle gut health on its own, we just tackle longevity on its own, we just tackle relationships on their own, we're not going to have solutions that stick because everything is connected. So like our microbiome is impacting our mental health every single moment of every single day. Our mental health is impacting our ability to show up in our relationships. Our state of our relationships is impacting our ability to succeed and thrive at work. Our ability to succeed and thrive at work and how stressed we are at work is impacting our gut microbiome because stress impacts our gut microbiome. So I'm like, we need to be talking about all of these things. It's why I wrote the book. It's why I talk about everything on the podcast, because we're whole people. We're not siloed people.
Okay, you know me. You know me really well by now, and I'm always on the hunt for the coziest, most stylish pieces to add to my collection. So when Skims started buzzing all over my feed, I couldn't resist diving. Well, I went headfirst. I went headfirst into the Skims collections. It all started with their Fits Everybody collection of the butteriest, softest underwear I've ever worn, and now seeing their cotton loungewear all over my feed, had to try it. And let me tell you, they did not disappoint. Seriously, the cutest and most flattering sets I've ever worn. And you know how much I love loungewear. I love it. I'm super picky about what I wear around the house. I want to be comfortable, but also be able to hop in my car to go somewhere if I need to. The Skims cotton rib tank and cotton rib leggings that I got, well, they do just that. I'm obsessed. Comfy and cute. My favorites. Skims is creating the next generation of loungewear for every body. The cotton collection is made with classic cotton for comfortable everyday wear using ultra soft and natural fibers. The elevated lounge pieces are designed for comfort, whether you're indoors or out. Who said loungewear is only for the house? Clearly, they haven't tried Skims. And the best part is it's available in sizes from XXS to 4X. But don't just take my word for it. Skims has over 100,000 five-star reviews for a reason. So believe the hype. The cotton collection and more are available now at skims.com. Plus, get free shipping on orders over $75. And if you haven't yet, be sure to let them know we sent you. So after you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. And if you missed the big news, Skims reinvented underwear for women, and they are now doing it for men, also available at skims.com. Why do you think it's so easy to create bad habits and not good? Like, why is
bad
that?
habits are fun? I don't know.
That's a good answer. Bad habits are fun. You're right.
Also, okay, so I'd say there's a few things. One, bad habits are fun. Two, a lot of people make a lot of money off of us having bad habits.
Fair.
And a lot of people make a lot of money by keeping us in a state where we feel like our life always needs to be better. That was another hugely important thing to me in writing this book is you literally don't need to spend any money to do any of the things in it. I so believe that we all have the tools within ourselves to live the lives that we want to live, and that the people are like, you need to buy this, this, and this. They're just like trying to make money off you. And I think there's so much marketing, and it is so insidious.
Yeah.
And we do not realize, like, we are taking in hundreds of messages on a daily basis about how we aren't pretty enough, we're not smart enough, we're not successful enough, we're not young enough, which is one of the most insidious ones because none of us can get younger. Like, have you tried?
Yeah,
it's like
it's actually
literally impossible. And all of us are going to age. And so marketers are like, ooh, tasty.
That's so true. And I fall for that shit all the time. That's something I've worked on a lot lately is the fear of aging. Yeah. Because all growing up, you know, my mom was afraid of looking older, and it was like the older you get, the less successful you're going to be. And especially in the world of like influencers and TV and being on camera. And you're right. And that's so in people's faces all the time now with Instagram and social media and like, you know, the Kardashians and looking a certain way and being a certain way, it is easy for companies to just be like, oh, this product is anti-aging. I'll be like, say less. Stop selling. You've already sold.
I struggle with it a lot too, because I do think the influencer world is geared towards like, it's better to be 22 and hot than 35 and have something to say.
Right.
And I'm like, and people were like, want to watch that. And to each their own. I think there's room for every single person out there who wants to do their thing on the internet. But two things. One, you add literally 7.5 years to your life if you have positive aging beliefs. Like literally 7.5 years. You will live 7.5 years longer if you have positive aging beliefs, which is insane. Like, it is a true fact. It is from Becca Levy at Yale, and she's done a ton of research on this. So I have that fact in the back of my head all the time.
Well, now I do. That's amazing.
And so, too, I think that once you're aware of that, you become aware of how all over these negative aging messages are. Like, there's like the greeting card that's like, you're over the hill when you're like 30. You have your girlfriends being like, we can't go do that. We're like wives and moms now, you know? We can't go dancing. We're 38. What are you talking about? And it's like, who says you can't go dancing? Who says you can't wear that outfit? Who says that your hair has to look... I remember I grew up my whole life with... I was like, Mom, you should like grow your hair long, because as a kid, and I was like, I wanted my mom to have like long, pretty hair. She's like, no, you can't have long hair when you're older. Like, women have to have short hair when they're older. I'm like, who made that rule?
Silly rule.
That's like, it's just such an insane rule. And I think once you realize the insanity of it, that like we are literally all aging every single moment. Yeah. And that the insane amounts of energy we're spending trying to fight an inevitability. Yeah. I just think you just like have this little bit of a wake up moment. But I do I struggle with it too.
There's only so much Botox. I literally have a black nose right now from Botox being poked in my nose. Like but again, I like feeling young and looking young, but I also need to remind myself, and I said this in an Instagram post once, and it was like quite profound, and I was like, I don't know if anyone said that before, but I came up with it, and I'm sure it's been said, but I was like, aging isn't scary, the alternative is. Yeah. And I was like, what am I expecting? I have to age. That's life, and the alternative is dying. So pick which one you want.
Like, okay, so I think some of the stuff you said, like, oh, you can't be successful as you get older, whatever. Right. Are there proof points of that in your life? Like, have you not just gotten more successful the older that you've gotten?
I did a whole Kundalini yoga exercise the other day with this girl, Courtney, who is a godsend to me. And we did like these powerful visualizations and meditations before we did movement. And, you know, I had my hands on my heart and I'm doing this visualization. And it's like, what does your life look like in 5 or 10 years? Like when you wake up, what's happening in your room? And like, where do you live? And what people are you surrounding yourself with? And what business are you doing? And what impact are you making? And I said everything. And she goes, now open your eyes. And she goes, you're doing all of those things right now. She goes, you said you would wake up with 2 golden retrievers. Like, I know, as I'm like, oh, my sweetie. She's like, you want to have important conversations on a platform that's like sharing light to the world. You want to like be learning about business and owning your wine label. And like, I was saying everything like that I already have.
And yet it took her taking you out of it, like giving you that zoom out for you to realize it. And I feel one of my biggest like fears is that so many of us are missing our actual lives because we're waiting for a future life, that like many components of it we have right now.
And it was such a simple realization. Like, I was like, well, how did I not think about that? Like, no shit, I'm doing it. Like, I just said everything out loud.
Because of the messaging, though. Like, literally, we are taught, want more, want more, want more, want different, want different, want different. And I think that we have to, our brains are going to listen to the messages that we're given. And so our job is we need to counter those messages to ourselves. Like, we cannot control what we can to a certain extent, like closing the phone down, like trying to quiet some of those voices, but we can control the messages we're giving ourselves and the things we're saying to ourselves.
And I see like Instagram as such an illusion, and that I see so many people just trying to fit into that illusion to get the likes or get, and then I find myself trying to do it and I completely lose my authenticity from being a part of the illusion, and I get mad at other people for doing it, but then I get sucked into it and doing it myself, and then I have to like come out of it, and it's so trippy. And again, like you said, it wastes so much of your life and time. And I think we're all experiencing this where we feel like there's a freaking glitch in the matrix where like time is going like that, but it's because we're not present, and it's because we're wanting more and doing everything that you just said.
Yeah, I think it's a real wake-up call to be like, oh, I have no time in my life, and then you go check your screen time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, but I've been actually a lot better. I've been more
What's better for you? I want to know. I'm curious. What's your screen time?
Oh, let's look. Oh, screen 3 hours and 36 minutes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Good for you. What have you been doing instead?
Reading a lot.
Ooh.
Okay, reading is like my new obsession. I love reading.
Did you know that reading activates the same part of your brain as meditating?
Does it really?
Yeah, so it has a lot of the same effects on your brain because you're essentially bringing your focus back to the words over and over and over again, and that's essentially what you're doing with a mindfulness meditation practice. You're letting your focus drift away because that's what it'll naturally do, and then you're bringing it back. So reading's activating the same part of your brain.
Well,
so
that's amazing.
You're a little meditator.
I'm such a because I love meditating already.
Amazing.
It's so funny. I found one meditation. It's 38 minutes, and I've never found one that speaks to me. So it's the messaging, everything that it says. I listen to it every single day, 38 minutes.
Wait,
every
which
single
one
day.
is it?
It's here. I'll just pull it up. It's on Insight Timer.
I love Insight. Insight Timer is probably the company I talk about the most that will never ever pay me because it's like a meditation app.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm like, get me paid.
But they have sound baths on there that I love to put on. I listen to them when I fly, and I'm just like, oh.
Yes.
So good.
Oh, I love a sound bath. So it's called Relax, Heal, and Manifest Your Dreams.
Okay. I'm going to listen to it.
I am obsessed with it. And and I know every word now in it because I've listened to it so many times. And each time I'm like, I don't know. It's I don't get sick of it. It helps me. I can barely get through it at night without falling asleep. Like it's amazing. I love it.
Do you feel like it has helped you relax, heal, or manifest your dreams?
Yes. Maybe not manifest my dreams just because I'm like, I already have done that. And now I'm like, it's so funny. 11:11 5 years ago to me when I saw it on a clock, what I would think of compared to now, like I literally see 11:11 and I just close my eyes and I say, I just want to like have inner peace and be happy, which is so crazy because it used to be like, well, I want this and I want this amount of money in my bank and I'm going to do this and I'm going to win this. And it's shifted so much. And I love that. But also I'm like, come on, dream bigger, Kaitlyn.
No, I feel like so many people get caught in that like hamster wheel of like, it's never enough. It's never enough. So I feel like that's amazing.
Mm-hmm. No, I like that. That's where my brain is at. It's just like I'm like, okay, but I mean, that's actually was going to be my next point is you have advice for so many categories of life. So I wanted to hear what you have on success because I'm kind of stuck in the hamster wheel, I guess, right now of what's next. And I hate that mentality. But I'm like, that's part of who I am is the ambition and the drive. And I like to accomplish things and do things and it makes me happy. And I've kind of been able to slow down because I'm home now for a bit and I'm kind of getting into like a groove where I'm still busy, but I'm doing the what's next thing. So if you have any tips of like getting out of feeling stuck with success, I don't know. Yeah. Like I guess it's what is success to you.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing. Yeah. I think there's like the nitty gritty. A lot of the success tips in the book are like productivity and like things that are going to help you succeed at work and make the relationships that you need to network and blah, blah, blah. Like all of those very pragmatic things in life. But I think that it's important to step back and be like, what are my actual goals? I have 3 tips at the beginning of the book. And I think they're actually really applicable when we're talking about success too. And one is like, know what you're going after. Like
be clear on that.
Be really clear on what we're going after here, and what do results look like in that space too. Because sometimes I think like, I want to be a successful podcaster. What does that mean?
Right.
How many are you looking for? A certain amount of downloads? Are you looking for certain guests to come on? Are you looking to be able to support yourself and have that be your income? I think getting really granular about what success looks like on the most microscopic level is so important.
Yeah.
And then the other one is to do an N of 1 experiment. And this applies to all the tips in the book, but that's to actually track what's going on. So you're changing one thing at a time, and then you're seeing what are the results of those changes. So if you were like, what's a goal for you right now?
I would love to create a show or some sort of movement around like the Barbie movie movement. Like I want to keep that going. I don't want to go backwards. I want to do something that keeps that going, keeps the conversation going, inspires other people to feel like not only women empowerment, but like it doesn't matter where you're at in life, whether you're 22 or 52 or like still being able to like have like strong female friendships and support each other and lift one another up and like be successful and room at the table for everybody and like show those 22-year-olds that I was at one point and never had something to look up to like that.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. And I think you have this idea of like a feeling that you want to create and like an energy that you want to create. So I think the next step would be, what does that look like on a really pragmatic level? Is that bringing your podcast on tour to a live show so people can gather in person and they can wear fun outfits and they can bring that Barbie movie energy into real life? We're doing that on my tour. We're doing like dressing in pink, orange, and yellow and like friendship bracelets and all of that. Yeah. And I think that can be really fun. Does that look like some sort of like online connector group or whatever? But once you know what it is, then you say like, how am I measuring this? How am I measuring the success of that? And that's an N of 1 experiment. So the N of 1 experiment is essentially, we have all of our like double blind, our big research backed experiments, and those can be so helpful. But often you'll hear from people be like, oh, the research shows this probiotic works so well, but I don't feel any effects. Or on the other side, like the research shows this diet makes you feel so good, or makes you feel terrible, but like I feel really good on it. And like, that's because we're all bio-individual human beings. And so different things are going to work for all of us. So we need to track and measure our own success. So that's the N of 1 experiment. And then the third one is one of my favorites. Applies to every tip in the book, and it applies to this too, which is think about your death.
Dark.
Well, you came in with like your little, your black fishnets. We had to talk about death at some point.
I am mad at my dad today. We are going gothic.
But I find thinking about your death to be one of the most helpful tools to living a good life that we have. And we don't do it enough because we're scared of death on a societal level. We shove it off away to where we don't have to see it, where we don't have to think about it. It's another reason I think we're so afraid of aging is because we have not made our peace at all with death. Yeah. So I think that zooming out, thinking about your dad, thinking about when you were 85 years old, like old Kaitlyn, what she's going to be like, oh, I wish I had done more of this.
No, she's going to be a vibe. I tell you what, that 85-year-old woman is going to be like, you slayed, bitch.
And we get such powerful information from our older selves, both in terms of what we should be doing more of. Yes, that's a dream that I definitely am going to want to have gone after. That's a risk I'm definitely going to wish that I had taken. But also like the shit that doesn't matter at all, that we're just like sitting in, dwelling in every single day. And you're like, old you is like, what the like, why the were you thinking about the size of your thighs when you were out at dinner with your girlfriends?
I know. You know what? That is a powerful thing to do. Is and that's something when I was talking about earlier with Courtney and the Kundalini yoga and the visualizations. A big part of all the visualizations I do is my 90-year-old self, and it changes everything. And also, I have an app called We Croak. Have you heard of it? It reminds you of your death every day.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's got like a quote about death.
Oh my God, I love that.
And it makes
that's
you
amazing.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely love it. But also, like, would 90-year-old you be like, you should have tried to prevent aging more? Would she be like, wow, you were fucking hot then. You should have appreciated that every single second.
Both. She's going to be like, thank you for all the Botox you did. It was very preventative, but also you were hot and you should own it.
I just think every time I've ever looked at a picture that I didn't think was hot from like 2 years ago, I'm just like, you were glorious. Like, you looked so good. And I try to tell myself that now because I'm like, in 2 years, you're going to love this picture. Yeah. You're going to love it. So just love it now.
It's so true. It's so true. And we talk about our 90 older selves, but like, what about our inner child and being 10, because I came across one of your TikTok videos where you were talking about like ask yourself 2 questions in life to figure out your dream life. What did you do for fun at the age of 10?
Inner child work has like been very big for me recently.
Same.
Yeah. Like I feel like I just did this podcast episode is with Dr. Russell Kennedy, and it's about how you can actually heal anxiety. Like he doesn't believe you can just like cope with it. All these things. I was like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? And he's like, those are coping methods. Those are nice.
Totally.
But you can heal it at a root level. And so he thinks one of the ways you do that is you give your inner child like what your inner child didn't get. So for me, I grew up in sort of like a little bit of a traumatic situation. And so I always felt like I had to be the adult and I had to be problem solving. And I was always like trying to think my way out of situations. And the little inner child in me, and I like, it pains me to even think about it, but like she just wanted somebody to hold her and be like, it's okay. Yeah. So when I'm in a stressful situation, I'm like, what's all the logic? Like, what's all the information? I'm like Googling. And really, I just need to like sit there and be like, I trust myself. I will be okay.
Yeah.
You know, I've worked with my husband on that in couples therapy too, that like sometimes he'll be trying to solve all of these problems, and the most helpful thing he can do is like hold me and be like, you're safe and I'm here for you no matter what.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice.
That's really nice. I love that.
The more busy I get, sometimes I come home and I'm like, can you just hold me like a baby?
Aw, sweetness, and he does it?
Like not like a baby.
I just picture him like cradling you, like, like singing a lullaby.
Yeah, it sounds honestly so nice.
That is
like,
nice.
Is that like a kink of some sort?
It might be a kink, but I'm kind of into it. I might have that same kink.
I'm tired of being a grown up. It's hard.
It's true though. You learn so much about your inner child, and that's, if you think about it, that's literally how you've been programmed through that's all you knew as a child. That's how you were raised. That's programming.
I know.
And also your other question was, who do you envy? I thought about that today because that to me sounded like a negative thing, but it's not.
It's really powerful information, I think. So
I envy Taylor Swift. Which is so funny because I was
I did too. She's literally, I did a podcast with somebody where the expert was trying to help me work on my envy of Taylor Swift.
Really?
Yeah. But so I think that the thing you have to come back to is, what is Taylor Swift doing that you're envious of? Because sometimes I think we're like, oh, I envy her. I'm never going to have her life. Like, this is stupid. This is just making me feel bad.
I envy her because I'm like, she is successful from being quirky. She's not like a Carrie Underwood voice. She's really worked on her voice, and like she used to be pitchy and not even that, but she's a good... Back in her, like, I'm talking like 15-year-old Taylor. 15-year-old Taylor. She's not anymore. She's perfect. She's self-deprecating. She's honest. She is the girl next door. She's down to earth. She's humble, but she's like so famous and like stays true to who she is, and like is a businesswoman without people realizing she's a businesswoman.
But you're like aware right now, right? That you just described yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what
is a self-aware moment.
When I was doing my research for you, you helped me realize that, because that's why at first I thought envy was a bad thing. But I was like, no, I actually look up to her because I see myself in her and want to be like that. And I like that she's successful off being herself. And like, she's a bunch of little things that I like to be.
Well, and for me, it was the idea of being able to bring people together in this communal environment for these incredible experiences. Like, that just feels like the most powerful thing in the world to be able to do. So I think the key to having envy work for you in your life is not just be like, I'm so jealous of that girl. Like, I'm never going to have what she has. But be like, well, what does she have that you specifically want? I also think it's really powerful for jealousy to be like, unless you would switch lives with every single part of their life, you don't get to be just wanting one part of their life. Right. You know what I mean? I remind myself of that all the time.
Yeah, like, I actually don't think I'd want everyone in the world to know who I am. I think I would stress me out I don't know if I'd sleep at night. Yeah.
So much. Like, I get
like, go to a football game and they make the whole NFL about you. I'd be like, you guys are scaring me.
Yeah. I think people already feel like that with the Taylor. Creepy. Yeah. They're like, okay, NFL, you're too big for this. Like, chill out a little bit.
Take a knee, NFL. That's a lot.
Although I'm a Chiefs fan now, so
it worked.
It worked. But Travis Kelce,
go Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
she really put him on the map.
The thing that it brought my attention to is like the brother story, and I just thought that was like the cutest thing.
So cute.
But I think that diving into what are the qualities I want, getting as specific and granular as possible, maybe they have, and then also being like, this is a proof point that these things can happen. If there's somebody that, and then finding, I think it's really nice. You're like, you see this proof point that's like 100 degrees away. If it's Taylor Swift, can we bring it back? Can we find a proof point that's got similar qualities, but then 50 degrees away? Can we find a proof point that's got similar qualities that's 20 degrees away, that 5 degrees away, 1 degree away? Can you call up the person who's 1 degree away and ask them, like, how did you get to where you are? Where did these qualities come from? And then you have the information that you need to start on that path.
Yeah. I just was trying to absorb everything you just said. I'm like, yes. Yes, it's so true.
Have you met Taylor?
Yes.
And?
She's amazing.
Okay. Did she just radiate?
Yes. And I have a photo with her, and she was excited to meet me because she watched The Bachelorette. And so it was right after that. So this was like 8 years ago.
Well, and speaking of all of those qualities, like, I feel like you were a revelation as a bachelorette because of those qualities, because like bachelorettes before you, all of them so wonderful, whatever, but just had very different personality types, you know?
Yeah. Maybe Taylor still thinks about me.
I bet she does.
I bet she wrote a song about me once.
We should try to figure out which one it is.
I knew you were in trouble when you walked in. Nailed it. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Let's face it, sometimes multitasking can be overwhelming. Like when your favorite podcast is playing, the person next to you is talking, your car fan's blasting, all while you're just trying to find that perfect parking spot. But then again, sometimes multitasking is easy, like quoting with Progressive Insurance. They do all the hard work for you of comparing the rates so that you can just find a great rate that works for you, even if it's not with them. Give their nifty comparison tool a try, and you might just find that getting the rate and coverage you deserve is easy. All you need to do is visit Progressive's website to get a quote with all the coverages you want, like comprehension and collision coverage or personal injury protection. Then you'll see Progressive's direct rate, and their tool will provide options from other companies all lined up, ready to compare. So it's super simple for you to just choose the rate and coverages that you like. Press play on comparing auto rates, quote at progressive.com to join the over 28 million drivers who trust Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy. You also talk about confidence, which I think is something that Taylor has too. Like, she's got this, like you said, radiating. Like, she's just got that thing when she walks into a room. Because I've been in the same room with her, so I can say that. But do you have tips for confidence? Because I go through phases in my life where I'm like the most confident. I feel so good about where I'm at and who I am. And like even last night at the book club, like it wasn't like I had thousands of people in this book club. It was like 100 and I don't know how many people in this book club, and it felt so important to me to have this tiny little community like talking about a book at the same time, and I felt confident in that moment. Like, what are your tips for finding confidence? Because I think I could have been like, wow, that was a fail, I should have had more people in that book club, but I felt really confident in like bringing those people together because it was such a unique group of women talking about this particular subject, and I loved it.
100%. I think my biggest tip about confidence is that it's going to sound contrary to what I'm going to say, but stay with me for a second. But like, it's that we should care about confidence less. I think that we hype it up too much.
Yeah.
I think we're like, I need to build my confidence. What can I do to build my confidence? And in fact, we should just be putting confidence to the side entirely and saying, what actions do I want to take? Why do I feel like I need to be confident to take these actions? In general, in life, confidence is going to come from taking the actions that we want to take to live our lives. And we sit around and wait to have the confidence to take those actions. So I would say, what would you do if you had that confidence? Do it anyway. Every single person I know who's successful is taking the steps that they want to take, and they're doing it shit scared. Yeah. Like they're pee their pants scared all the time.
That's what I tend to do.
And I think that's literally the difference between successful people and not successful people, is that not successful people sit around and they wait to feel the way that they want to feel inspired to go do the things that they dream about. But the successful people just go do it anyways, totally freaking out the whole time.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's anyone who listens to the podcast knows I say do it scared.
Do it scared. Just constantly. 100%. And the thing is, so many people have imposter syndrome. Like, if you're not going to do it scared, somebody else is going to do it scared. They're going to feel like just as much of an imposter, but they're just going to like take your place.
Do you think Taylor has imposter syndrome?
I absolutely do.
Yeah, I think so too. Everyone does.
I think I have not met, you've met a lot of successful people. I've met a lot of successful people. I don't think I've met one who never has situations that they don't feel confident, or that they feel. Every single successful person I've met sometimes feels a lack of confidence, sometimes feels imposter syndrome. I just think
they just do it anyways.
Yeah. And by doing it, you're building those proof points for yourself that you can do it scared and that you're resilient and that you're successful when you do it.
Quote unquote fail, you actually learn so much from it, and the next time you've done it differently and in a better way.
Well, this is never be the one to say no to yourself again, which is that sometimes the world's going to tell you no. Like if you're like, I want to write a book, you go out to 50 agents and all of the agents say no. Okay, that's good information to have. It's a huge bummer. But more than likely, one of those agents is going to tell you yes. 1,000 times more likely to happen than if you don't send it to any agents.
Yeah.
And you have not told yourself no. Like you have said, I believe in myself. And I think that giving yourself that messaging, to the point we were talking about earlier, we're getting so much awful messaging all of the time from the world. The simplest and best thing we can do is give ourselves the best messaging we can, which is I believe in you. Like you can do this. I believe in you.
That's why I think it's important for people to have like a picture of their child.
Their little child.
Yes. In the mirror or something, just be like, you know, we're talking to her too, and you could do it, because what would you say to your own daughter, or like somebody that, and that's you,
or
like,
your best friend?
Yeah,
I mean, there's literal psychology and a ton of research around the idea of distancing, and just like we are too close to ourselves. So the zoom out perspective of thinking about your older self, thinking about your younger self, thinking about your best friend, just not being inside of yourself so that you can get the distance that you need to make decisions. Also, this is some of my favorite research in the book. This is from Dan Pink. I'm like pointing. I'm like, this is some of my...
I feel it. Yes, tell me.
This is some of my favorite research in the book. It's from Dan Pink. He did this incredible study of tens of thousands of people about the things that they regretted the most at the end of their lives.
Yes.
And one of the core findings of that research was that by and large, if we take a risk, we won't regret it. And if we take a risk and it fails, we still will regret it less than if we don't take the risk at all.
That is a fact.
And I think that's because we're saying yes to ourselves. Even if the world is saying no to you, it just feels so much better to say yes to yourself.
I have so many, like every time I talk to somebody like you, I just like, my brain goes, new tattoo. That's a new tattoo.
And yet my tattoos are so dumb. Like
I have some really profound ones and some really dumbass ones. Like it's a mixed bag on my body.
Yeah. And then I will also say, I just want to like, I've shared my never be the one to say no to yourself motto on social media, and I have gotten so many messages from people who have gotten raises they didn't think they were qualified for, who are married because they asked somebody out that they thought was out of their league. Wow. The amount of success that people have found by not saying no to yourself. So like sometimes you'll fail. All of the most successful people that I know fail all the time. The more times you fail, the more percentage-wise chances you're having to actually hit success. But also sometimes the world's going to say yes, and then you're going to have rewards that you never even dreamt of.
Yes. I love big dreams.
Yeah. Oh, I do too.
I love
them. I love little dreams. I love all dreams.
Yeah, I love all dreams too. You're right.
Yeah.
I do too. You have a large following in the wellness space, but do you feel responsibility ever with that, or pressure towards your audience? Because sometimes I do, where I think I've actually lost a bit of myself, which I want to get back, which was my humor. And I'm too scared to offend people now, where before I didn't give a f***. And I am working on getting that back. I'll show you a video that I did this morning that people are they're gonna jump to conclusions about this one part of it, but the meaning to me is something different. And instead of going, oh, people are gonna think this, I'm going, I know what that means to me, so it.
Yeah.
Like, and I want to get that back. Do you ever feel like a responsibility to like really live out everything you're saying? And, you know, I just feel like having a platform is a big responsibility.
It is. So a few things. I would say I do feel a responsibility in terms of accuracy of information that I'm sharing. There's so much misinformation in the wellness world online. And so I am pretty meticulous about
everybody's an expert.
Yeah. And so if I'm saying something like this with gut health or this with longevity, I'm citing somebody who is a qualified expert, and I'm citing their research. The book is meticulously cited. I just don't believe in sharing misinformation, and I'm pretty anal about that. But to the other point, I don't feel a lot of pressure, because my philosophy on wellness is that it includes cookies and it includes days where you're not working out. I
love that.
One of my things that I always say to my audience and to myself is that wellness is a tool. It's not an end unto itself. And the second that wellness is making your life worse, it's no longer wellness. So if you are skipping dinners with your girlfriends because you don't want to eat out at a restaurant, if you are not resting and relaxing because you're trying to get through all of these like healthy habits on your to-do list, that's not well. If you're waking up at 5:30 in the morning because you're like, I'm healthy, and you feel like crap and tired all day, probably you're fighting your natural circadian rhythm and you should be getting up later. But also that's not wellness. Like if wellness is making you feel worse, it's no longer wellness.
Wellness has become such a buzzword.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so many buzzwords out there that people are, that's so true.
There's a tip in the book that's like, above all, suffer less. And it's about how much wellness has become synonymous with suffering. Like we think that healthy food has to taste like garbage. And in fact, like some of the healthiest foods on the planet just make foods taste better, like spices and herbs and healthy fats. And I love vegetables, which I never thought I would say because I didn't eat a vegetable till I was 20.
Vegetables.
Like
really? Oh my God, I love vegetables.
Literally until I was like 20.
Like beets were my favorite food as a kid. Wow. I know, it's bizarre.
Yeah, you were. Where did you grow up in like a household that had like grains and containers, storage containers in the pantry?
Yeah, I did.
It's niche.
I've got it in mine too. Yes, like, we were that family.
Yeah, we were not that family. We were like, I ate I'd whip up my own whipped cream and then I'd add sprinkles to it and eat it with a boiled hot dog for dinner. And look at me now. So, like, the decisions you're stressing over don't matter that much.
So true. Oh, my gosh. I know, everybody trying to get into all the food groups.
Yeah, and I just feel like, again, if you're stressing so much that it's making your life worse, it's not wellness. Zero in on how do you actually want to feel and what are the tools that you need to get you there. It's also one of the reasons I wrote the book in this format is like you don't need to read the whole thing straight through. You can flip to the section that applies to the things that you want to tackle in your life right now. Like if you're like, I want my friendships to be better. Flip to that section. You'll get 5 to 10 minute little sections. You can read it.
That's genius.
Action it. You get the science, then you get the action tip, and they can make your life better. It's like it's not meant to be consumed all at once.
And it's not overwhelming. It's literally just like as they say, user friendly, like so easy and like digestible.
Well, I feel like I'm always looking for something to do in the interstitial moments of life that's not scrolling on my phone. Like when your pasta water is boiling, and your pasta water is boiling correctly. Or when you just have like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and I really don't want to scroll because I just never feel better after. And so I designed the book to be used in those scenarios, and you don't feel like you feel like you get a whole experience in that time. Yeah.
What do you think is the most significant lesson you've learned in the wellness space? It's probably something you've already said, but if you could pick one.
So I think it changes so much based on my needs. I think right now it's probably like the recent stuff that I was saying about giving my childhood self what it needs. I think sometimes we try to do all these like bows and whistles with wellness. We're like, oh, what do I need? This fancy supplement. Like you're trying to optimize that like last 5%. And I would say, and I think this goes with the childhood self thing, but like until you have your foundation in place, all the little bullshit you're trying to optimize for like doesn't matter. Like you're kind of wasting your time until you are like doing some sort of relaxation practice, until you're sleeping well, until you're eating some sort of vegetable at most of your meals. You're wasting your time by being like, oh, well, like, what about this supplement versus this supplement? And like, should I meditate for 7 minutes or 9 minutes? You know what I mean? I think sometimes we get really caught in the details. And for me, one of the details was like, I was doing all of these things to try to heal from my anxiety over the years because it's just been my constant struggle in life. Because from that day where I got out of bed and made a smoothie, it wasn't just like, oh, I'm cured. It was like, I have taken steps every single day and built this toolkit to be in a place where I can even sit and have this conversation with you. And I still struggle with anxiety all the time. And I think it was kind of a wake-up call for me to be like, it's not ashwagandha. It's not the new type of meditation. It's not even like things like Hoffman or Onsite, which are so incredible, although those do get at your childhood stuff. But it's not all these fancy things. Like it's just going back to that little baby me and being like, what did you need that you didn't get? And how can I give that to you? And that's as simple as just like literally like holding myself a little bit. And that feels almost silly and trite in this world where we're told we need all these bells and whistles. But I think sometimes going back to the basics,
it's
can
the
be
back
really
to
helpful.
the basics for so many things. Like even out of the wellness space, it's like going back to basics for so many things can make bigger changes. Like it can be so beneficial.
Yeah. And the people who don't want you to do that are trying to sell you things. Not to sound
like no, you're right.
It's just true.
That's just a fact. So you have podcasts, your new book, The Card Game. I love because everybody who knows me knows a card game. I don't care what it is. If it involves cards, I'm in.
Do you like getting to know you card games though? Or are you like a Settlers of Catan girly? Like
both.
Literally
all
anything.
Of them.
Okay. Anything that if it comes on cardboard, you're into it.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything that's like given to me on a card that's a game, I love it. I love Monopoly. I love
Monopoly. I always cheat.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I put 2 500s under the board and I win every time.
See,
But I would say that that's how people get ahead in real life. So I'm really just like bringing it into the board. I'm being smart.
That's funny. So anyways, I tried to find some combos from your cards, but I only found one. So people have to get the deck because it's not Googleable. If you could relive any year of your life, no changes, just living, what age would you choose and why?
That's a good question, which I came up with.
Yeah, you did. It's in the cards.
Honestly, this one, I feel like I am loving life right now.
Yeah.
I would have said sometime when I was a kid, just for like a moment, because I'd like to feel like taken care of and just, I don't know, no pressure and responsibility for a second. But I feel like I've struck a really nice balance of like, I have some pressure, I have some responsibility, but I'm also like enjoying it so much. Like, I'm like, I can get on a plane today and like fly to Berlin if I wanted to. I'm probably not gonna,
right. But you could.
But I could. And that's just an insane thing to say. I have, you know, friends that I love that I'm putting a lot of energy into those relationships and getting a lot of energy back. I feel like I'm getting to achieve my dreams. I feel like this is the year I put a lot more emphasis on fun in my life.
Perfect.
And I'm loving that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. What about you? Or should we pull a fresh one?
Let's pull a fresh one.
Let's pull a fresh one.
I will say 30. I remember thinking 30 was like one of my favorite years. But every year I feel like
gets better.
Yeah.
That's an interesting proof point for not being afraid of aging.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Just gets better. All the
Stupid
proof
brain.
shows that it's just gotten better.
It really has. And where can people find these decks and
Healthyconvo.co.
Healthyconvo.co. You can find your books there.
No, so this is a separate company that I run with my husband, and somehow we've managed to stay together through that.
Yeah, that's hard.
But you can find my book at Liz Moody. The book's at 100ways-to-change-your-life.com, and then everything else is lizmoody.com.
Okay,
and the podcast is Liz Moody Podcast, and I'm Liz Moody on social.
I love it.
Share a story about how a celebrity or someone important to you impacted your self-image growing up.
Oh shit, good or bad?
Good or bad, yeah. There's a question in the book about like, share a story about something like your parents taught you about love. Like, what did you learn about love from your parents or something? And people are always like, my parents got divorced. And I'm like, my parents got divorced when I was 3. I learned so much about love from their relationship.
Oh, I learned so much about love from my parents' relationship. I actually give them a lot of kudos for being divorced and the kind of love that they showed and shared. But a celebrity that like impacted me on looks,
anything you want.
That is a very interesting question that you pulled for me personally. I would say Pamela Anderson, which is so interesting now.
It's so, I mean, her moment right now,
I'm obsessed. So, you know, that was the girl on every guy that I had a crush on their wall with the big fake boobs and the perfect tan type body and no cellulite and blonde hair and big lips and all of the things. And I always thought you had to be like super sexy and sexual and like that to be desired, and that's what all guys like, which is so interesting now because she is now, how old I'm not sure, but she is going to Paris Fashion Week without an ounce of makeup on, and she is living her truth. And I watched a documentary on her where before, like when I was all insecure in my teens, I probably would have just watched that with pure jealousy and been like, I'm not anything that's not me at all. And now I watch her documentaries with so much respect for her of what she's gone through and the pressures she had on herself. And now how she's living her truth now. And she's actually inspiring the shit out of me now. Yeah, I completely agree. I love what she's doing right now. And isn't it so interesting? I watched her documentary too. It is so interesting that all of the people that we pedestalize on a societal level are like really struggling with the exact things that we're pedestalizing them about. Yeah. Like she was struggling with her appearance so much because everybody else was pinning so much of their own thoughts and perceptions and desires and hopes on her appearance. Yeah. You know? And that's what they were making her feel like that was her self-worth for her appearance. Oh my gosh. That is something that I feel better about with aging is that because I was always like, I think I'm attractive, but I was never like, my looks are my only thing. My parents growing up, I don't think they told me that I was cute or like good looking one time. It was always like, you're smart, you're funny, whatever, which gave me a little bit of a complex later because I was like, am I good looking? You're like, wait a second. Wait a minute.
But I do think that if you put everything into your looks, and I've seen this with models and actresses and things like that as they get older, it's really scary to see your looks change. especially because as a society, we are not as good as we should be yet at celebrating looks of all different ages. And I love what Pamela Anderson is doing for that right now.
It's giving me life.
Yeah.
It's inspiring the hell out of me. I love it so much. I love that you picked that card for me. But I mean, that's the coolest part is you can bring that to dinner. You can go out to dinner. You can bring it to parties. You can bring it to bachelorette parties. You have different categories for each, like.
We have a raunchier together deck, which is for bachelorette parties. We have a working together deck, which is for offices.
Genius.
Don't switch them.
Don't screw those up.
The bachelorette one has like a giraffe doing a pole dance on the front cover, so you can't
really screw that up.
Mix them up. Yeah,
I love that.
I requested that specifically. I was like, I need Abe Lincoln winking, and I need a giraffe on a stripper pole. And my designer's like, okay.
You're like, I've got a vision. Don't question me. Don't question me. Okay, a quick game to finish the podcast.
Yeah.
It's called Ways to Lighten the Moody.
Okay.
Yes! Yes! Alicia, we did it! We got a laugh. It's a belly laugh, too. Okay, I have a list of common situational moods I've had, and I think others can probably relate to, and you can give a wellness tip for each one, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so a stressful commute.
Oh.
Commute.
Okay, so...
I read it commute, and then I was like, it's commute.
She's Canadian.
I'm Canadian. Alicia?
That's how they say it up north.
Mantra. I literally picked up a llama, and I was like, the llama. Oh, my God. Okay. Anyways.
So I will say first that research shows that one of the single best ways to spend your money is to shorten your commute. To make your commute into a walking or biking commute is one of the best things that you can do with your money. We think like buy the car, buy the big house, whatever. But in fact, putting our home closer to our office massively impacts our happiness level. So that's the first thing that I would say. The second thing that I would say is it's sort of a version of temptation bundling, which is a tip in the book from Dr. Katie Melkman. She's at Wharton. And it's basically to put something that you hate with something that you really, really enjoy. And then it makes you more likely to do the thing that you hate. So I use it for working out, which I despise. But I save my very favorite podcasts for when I'm working out so that I can only listen to them when I work out. And then I'm more likely to work out because I don't want to miss out on my favorite podcasts.
I love that thought.
Oh, it works for anything that you like dread, that you procrastinate on, that you don't want to do. Yeah. So temptation bundle those things. So I would say temptation bundle your commute. Save some of your favorite podcasts, your favorite songs, the stuff that you really, really like. Save it for your commute so you can start to like build those happy memory associations.
I love that.
Yeah.
Ooh, I love that a lot. Okay, the Sunday scaries.
Oh, the Sunday scaries are, I want to do a podcast on the Sunday scaries because I do think they impact all of us. So I would say give yourself a little treat on Sunday. Like something that how about this? I think a nice thing to do on Sunday is to look ahead at your week, get some plans in place so that you like aren't overwhelmed. I think a lot of the unknowingness is what overwhelms us for the week. So like what's coming up? What's on the schedule? How can I prepare for it the best that I can? And then I would give yourself a little treat both on Sunday and then a treat in the form of a social interaction on Monday. So whether it's like a walk with a friend or even like sometimes I do workouts with my friends where we will work out together. Like we'll put the phones up and we'll do little virtual workouts together or something like that. But I'd have some sort of social interaction to look forward to on Monday because there's so much research that shows that one of the top things that impacts our happiness levels is our community and our social interactions and our relationships. But we act like they're the last thing that we should do. Like they're the thing that we earn after we go through our entire to-do list. They're the thing that like gets the short end of the stick every single time.
Same with Monday. Poor Monday gets such a bad rep.
It really does.
Add a treat in there.
Monday's a fresh week. Also, like, it's a fresh week. There's a tip in the book called the fresh start effect, which I absolutely love. And it's the idea that we view ourselves in this like narrative form. And every time you have a fresh start, you're sort of turning the page, you're starting a new chapter, and you're kind of a new person. So you're more likely to be able to stick to new habits. So like a New Year's Eve is a fresh start. And that's one of the reasons we all make goals and resolutions. And it's kind of like a bullshitty thing. Yeah. But also you're literally more likely to stick to your goals if you start them on New Year's Eve than if you start them any other day because you view yourself as a different person on the new year than you were the day before the new year. So on a Monday, you view yourself as a different person than you were the previous week. So you can view it as a new opportunity. That's actually a great way. Thank you for taking me to this.
You're welcome.
That's a great way to beat the Sunday scaries is to be like, the person I was last week is no longer. I can be whoever I want this week. And it's this like bright and shiny new opportunity. You can have whatever habits you want to have. You can have whatever mindsets you want to have. You can be the version of yourself that you want to be this week because you have a fresh, new, shiny week to kick it off with.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. What about when you're stressy and depressy while I'm PMSy?
Okay, so first of all, I would encourage you. Are you working with a hormone doctor?
Yes.
Okay.
I have. I'm not in this moment, but I have, and it has helped.
Okay. So I will say a lot of women, because we are taught that our suffering doesn't matter on a societal level, are pretty dismissive of actually getting medical help for things that do have real medical treatments for. So I would encourage anybody who is having PMS should not be a life-ruining thing, and for a lot of women, and it unfortunately is, and there are treatments and help for that. So I'd say number one, go find a hormone doctor, get your hormone levels tested, and work with a professional on that. Two, a really simple one is eat carbs, eating carbs before your period. I did Ask the Doctor with a hormone doctor on my podcast. It's called Ask the Doctor Hormone Edition, and one of the things she says is if you eat carbs before your period, it helps alleviate the symptoms of PMS. Actually helps release serotonin in your body.
I love carbs. I really do.
Also like your body's telling you to eat carbs, right? Like when you're PMSing.
I can't survive without carbs even if I'm not PMSing.
Literally.
I
can't survive without carbs.
I don't know why. The carbs on Monday, they get a bad rep.
Yeah. No, carbs do not have a bad rap in my book. I love carbs. Either. Also, if you have cramps, magnesium glycinate, best thing in the world.
Really?
Yeah, I love it.
I get crippling cramps.
Oh, it helps so much.
I almost throw up sometimes from the pain.
Like, use under the care of a doctor. Like, talk to your doctor about anything, whatever. But, like, it helps so much. Okay. Also, migraines.
I'm not even going to say it out loud. I don't suffer from them. Okay. Last one, scrolling and comparing.
Ruthlessly clean up your feed. I think sometimes we are like, that person's inspiring me. Like, I see them and I want their body. I want their life. I'm getting some sort of inspiration from this. It's like, no, they're not. Like, literally, you can find somebody else who is actually inspiring you. Get them off your feed immediately. Also, focus on the people in your real life. Like, I just think the more that we are online in our real lives and offline in our social media lives, the better that we feel generally. And then third, I would say, do something for somebody else, whether it's giving them advice, whether it is helping them out with a favor. Doing stuff for other people reminds us of our own qualities that matter and that are important in the world, and I think they can be a really great way to build our own self-esteem. Like, a very pragmatic way to build our self-esteem is to be like, I'm gonna do something for somebody. Yeah, you're so right. I've done it and it feels good. One time I did something nice for somebody. One time I did that and you're right, it did feel good. I should probably do that more. Oh my God, I loved it. I love this conversation so much. I honestly, like, this has been just one of my favorite conversations, just because I know my listeners and I know there so many of them are like me, and they'll take away so much from this conversation. So thank you for coming here. Thank you so much for having me. And for sharing all of your little tidbits of knowledge with us. And there's a couple like aha moments for me in there. So thank you. Tattoos. Tattoos. I thought you said cashews. I was like, sure, I'm a little hungry. I try to get like a few tattoos an episode, you know. Yes, you did. I think I've got 5. Okay, great. Wonderful. Yeah, so we're good there. Thank you so much. And we'll put on in the notes and stuff where people can find all of your stuff. And then obviously we said it in the podcast as well. Perfect. So thank you. I'm Kaitlyn Bristowe. I'll see you next Tuesday. See you next